boys reacting to the death of mainstream. Let's lock in.
There is more high quality content available than ever before, and yet most people feel like there is something missing. There was once a time where it felt like we were all on the same wavelength when it came to entertainment and pop culture. Everything felt more impactful. Movies were bigger, music spread further,
Yeah.
famous people were actually famous, awards meant something, and if there was a shocking story in the news, it was impossible to miss. It was much easier to have your finger on the pulse of pop culture, and it created this bond that we had together as strangers, and we took it for granted because now that that bond is gone, the world of entertainment, music, movies, shows, social media feels oversaturated, confusing, and dull.
Yeah.
I bet most of you
I don't
can
know about the
relate to
dull
this.
part, but
How many times
definitely
these days
like I feel that we have so much entertainment that it becomes like overwhelming in a sense of like we want picking out a movie. I'm so indecisive with it. And I looked it up, and there's actually like a thing where like when you have so many options, it makes it's harder for you to like make a decision. Type shit. When you have too many options, that makes sense. But regardless, I'm grateful, but yeah,
is to someone say
we'll
to you,
continue.
hey, did you hear about, or hey, did you see? And not only is your answer no, but you literally have no idea what they are talking about. Life wasn't always like that.
Yo, what's
What
wrong with
we are
this dude's
missing
face? Did he do that on purpose?
Hey, did you
No
see?
disrespect to Patrick CC, but look, there's like hair, like right here. It's just like a line. Does he do that on purpose? That's like mad weird.
And not only is
Because I'm like,
your
he
answer
doesn't say shit
no,
like
but
me,
you
but like
literally
it still
have
looks weird.
no idea what they are talking about.
We'll
Life
continue.
wasn't always like that. What we are missing today and for the past few years is a monoculture, which is essentially one culture that all Americans are connected to. Sometimes I even call it the death of mainstream, because nothing really feels mainstream anymore. Every decade had their own version of monoculture that was seemingly easily defined, but what will define the 2020s? Monoculture is dead, and for anyone watching this that's like a teenager or younger, it means nothing because they can't relate to that experience. But literally anyone older than that remembers their version of monoculture and probably misses it because it represents a much more simple time. Every generation before Gen Alpha had limited options for entertainment, and they thought it was a burden, flipping through TV channels saying, oh, there's nothing to watch. But now our options are infinite. 3.7 million YouTube videos uploaded every day, one streaming service with every song ever made, and 100,000 new songs being uploaded every day. Dozens of subscription services with thousands of movies and TV shows, a literal endless singular feed of short form videos that one can spend hours without realizing the time has passed.
Yes, bro, you ever been there? On TikTok, just chilling? That's why I don't have it on my phone, because I will sit there and be just chilling. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours later. I'm still sitting in the same spot, watching nothing. It's all brain rot bullshit, stupid shit that I don't, nobody, you know? I could be doing so much better, more productive things. You know what I'm saying?
Despite having access to all of this content, a lot of us feel bored and disconnected from each other. Well, today I want to talk about that feeling like something is missing. I believe it is tied to the death of monoculture. So let's dive into how we got here, where it went wrong.
I mean, I do in a sense feel at times something's missing, but I feel like that's more like me not being like as far in what I'm wanting to achieve yet. You know what I'm saying? But could be something missing in like because like I think that the internet in a sense is not a good thing, only because like it gives us a lot more reason to be home. It make like we wouldn't be. I feel like we wouldn't be as socially awkward as we are. I guess a lot of us, if it wasn't so much like if you had to go out to see a movie or to buy something or to even get food, you have to leave your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you still do. And in this day and age, it's just like there are DoorDash. There is groceries that can be delivered to your house. There are ways you just pull up a movie on your TV, on my computer. I go to a website and pull up any movie I want to and watch it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have like, but it's also, there are also good things with the internet. But I'm just getting at like, You know, man, we're gonna
And
continue.
actually why some of you might consider it to be a good thing. Entertainment has always evolved based on the available technology. The easier it is to consume, the less impactful it is. Movie theater ticket
I
sales had
suppose,
their
yeah.
all-time peak in the US in 1946. Over 90 million weekly admissions were recorded, which means that about 60% of the US population went to go see a movie that year.
That's
now,
crazy.
were movies objectively better in 1946? Absolutely not. There were just less of them, and less entertainment overall. The introduction of the television likely slowed down movie ticket sales, but opened up a whole new opportunity for entertainment. Cartoons, sitcoms, and of course, ads. You've probably never heard of Spokio, Truthfinder, or been verified, but they've definitely heard of you. These are data brokers. Their entire business model is collecting your personal info and selling it to anyone willing to pay. They provide reports like this that have information about you, including your contact info, address, your relatives, and maybe even what car you drive.
That's kind of
This stuff
crazy.
isn't just floating around by accident. It's being packaged, indexed, and sold legally right now. Data brokers are selling our private information without our consent. They make no attempt to stop scammers, spammers, or stalkers from buying it. The government does nothing to stop them. These data brokers are literally laughing all the way to the bank, probably paying off politicians, so this continues to remain legal. That's why I started using Aura, who sponsored this video.
That's what this is
Aura finds
about?
the data brokers exposing your info and
I'm sure he's right, but I think he played into the ad
from these sketchy sites. But even television has its limitations. You had to watch the show at the exact time it aired, or you missed it and had to wait for someone to tell you what happened the next day. Or even worse, you had to read this book called the TV Guide to figure out when they were going to air a rerun. Plus, there were only a few channels, so competition for attention was fierce. But that also meant that millions of people were watching the same thing at the same time. With most households operating on 9-to-5 work schedules, the only time carved out to entertain yourself was between 7 and 10. This was known as prime time, and that's when the few good shows were on. Families watched the same things together, and a new episode airing at 8 p.m. on a weeknight could dominate school hallways and office break rooms the next day.
Crazy.
Worst case scenario, you could stay up for late night television where Letterman would catch you up on all your pop culture news. We were connected as humans, kind of operating on the same wavelength.
All this?
Entertainment ad.
I wasn't born yet, but I was born in a time where it wasn't what it is now yet, but we were evolving there. You know what I'm saying? We were getting there, but we weren't there yet. So I did experience watching something and then going to school talking about it, or the Super Bowl would be on, everybody's talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a bit different. I mean, I guess everybody's probably still talking about the Super Bowl, but I don't know, because I remember in school, the Super Bowl was a huge thing. Everybody was talking about the day before, the next day, it was crazy. I remember, it was a big thing. But now I feel like there's more what if there's a new Netflix show that dropped that day? So the next day, people are talking about that, but some people are talking about, well, not everybody's gonna be, you know what I'm saying?
To our humanity. That is, unless you were entirely disinterested from the few available shows and movies, then you had no other options, your life sucked, and you were looking for other forms of entertainment like heroin. But at least back
no, you could read a book, brother. What the fuck is this guy going on about?
It didn't have fentanyl in it. But the way people consumed movies and televisions stayed relatively the same for decades. By the 1970s, 95% of households had a TV in it. And then in the 80s and 90s, there was a massive uptick in available entertainment, like an entire...
Sorry, I had to point out, it's my favorite fucking show ever. I watch it every day, all day long. Not exactly, but I do watch it.
TV channel dedicated to showing music videos, or an entire channel dedicated to showing cartoons. But even with more niche options, primetime shows still dominated pop culture, and Americans still felt a sense of togetherness through a somewhat limited availability. Is music not hitting the same anymore? Doesn't it feel like you used to have a connection with others based on a shared love for the same
even
music?
In 2016, it was a different vibe with music and things. In 2017, I would say even 2018, with when X and Goose were coming up, were popping, and when Peep was really popular. That was before, but oh my goodness. It felt different. It wasn't like now. There's so many different songs, so many different things going on. It's I don't know. It don't feel the same. I get what he's saying. I definitely understand what he's saying.
Well, music had a similar permeating connection to monoculture with a few key differences. For most of the 20th century, music was somewhat of a luxury. Today, for $15 a month, you can get access to every song ever made and 100,000 new ones uploaded daily. $15 used to get you one album, and you had to
That's
take your happy
crazy.
ass to a record store
Yeah,
to physically
that's
buy
so
it.
funny.
And if the album was in high enough demand, they might not actually have it. And that seems like a dumb thing
Might
to
be out of
say,
stock.
but in our modern culture, entertainment is never not available to you. These stores often had a strong sense of community and served as a gathering place for music fans. It wasn't unusual for artists to
See,
stop.
back then they hung out at the store, like this. You'd be hanging out, like they would have an event going on that night, or something like that, like this. You know what I'm saying? And they'd be hanging out at the store. They don't got that no more. Like you're not doing that. Like that's everyone's at their house or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's times parties, things like that, events, fat places for sure. There's concerts, you know, obviously. But I'm just saying, like this, you didn't see this. You didn't see it.
In and play mini concerts or sign albums before an appearance in a particular city. When people bought an album, they were now invested. They worked hard for that money. So to get the value back, they actually listened to the whole thing. They even tried to like the songs that they didn't initially like because they paid for it, which ultimately made them appreciate the artistry on a different depth. This uninterrupted focus on the music built a deeper connection from the fans to the artist. Fans had to imagine what their favorite musicians were like based on lyrics, a few interviews, and carefully staged photographs in magazines or posters on their wall. There was a mystique. Pop stars felt larger than life, almost like fictional characters, which is why people would pass out at the mere sight of Michael Jackson. Today we have countless interviews and endless access to all of their thoughts and opinions on social media. That mystery is gone. Artists are more accessible than ever, and because of that, they feel less special. And since music was basically a luxury, most people didn't have tons of disposable income to buy every release they wanted to listen to, so they typically resorted to listening to the radio or watching MTV. You couldn't just search your favorite Guns N' Roses song and get that instant gratification. You had to turn on MTV and just wait for it to come on, but in the meantime,
like when I was growing up, we turned on the radio, like in the car, obviously the radio, but like now everybody has like Spotify songs, just plays whatever they want. Like it was like I remember my mom getting so mad at me one time because I was talking during a song. She's like, I haven't heard that song in so long. I don't know when it'll play on the radio again. And she was so mad. That's how it be. That's how like I was born in 2001, so like my upbringing a bit, but then as I got into my teens is when, and now kind of was when shit really started to, like, you know, entertainment really started to like be
tons of other good songs
another level,
that made you a more well-rounded music listener. And that was the same predicament for everyone. So at school dances, parties, or clubs, everyone felt connected because the songs that were being played were the ones that everyone had the same access to. A lot of club DJs today still mostly play music from the 2010s, and a lot of people wonder why they aren't playing more modern music. Like, are we all crippled by nostalgia? Well, not necessarily, but when you play music from the 2010s, you can kind of guarantee that everyone in the club is going to know those songs. Whereas today, everyone just listens to vastly different music. What's considered extremely popular and mainstream to you might literally not be considered extremely popular and mainstream to the person next to you. Today, we have unlimited access to every song ever made. When a new song or album drops, it is just right there in your phone. You don't have to talk to anyone, don't have to buy it, don't have to wait. Most of the time, the artist is actually begging you to listen to it, or you accidentally found out about it. You didn't even want to discover it. Most people have resorted to just letting the algorithm decide what music to recommend to them because it's easier than doing all of the effort I just talked about before. Combine this lack of mono connectivity through music, requiring absolutely no effort to get access to the music, as well as artists not having the star power due to overexposure, and surprise, surprise, music holds absolutely no value to the average casual listener. Once we entered the 2000s, the rapid advancement of available technology caused a dominant monoculture to become more fragmented. TVs were becoming cheaper, bigger, and higher quality. The internet was getting faster, becoming easier to access and navigate. Cell phones were in everyone's pocket. We were becoming more connected than ever.
This is when I was growing up, when I was born, I would say.
actually
Maybe
going to
even
drive
like when
us
I was
further
born.
apart. In my opinion, 2000 to 2010 was a
That's when I
great
was
sweet spot for pop culture. I would describe today's culture as everything all at once, and the early 2000s was the same, but it was slightly more manageable. Let's start simple. Movies. Here's a graph of every movie released per year around
Oh
the
wow.
world. You can see the quantity of movies released remained relatively the same from the
Oh
early
wow.
1970s to the late 1990s, and it just started slowly ramping up in the 2000s before it
Wow.
exponentially exploded. Back then, there was a rhythm to it all. You'd get 2 or 3 massive blockbusters every summer, movies like Spider-Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, or The Dark Knight, which dominated culture for weeks. As fall and winter rolled in, you'd see smaller budget, more experimental, or just simple films rise to the surface.
Like Christmas
Movies
shit,
like Eternal
yeah.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Miss Sunshine, Juno, and Requiem for a Dream. Everyone kind of knew what was coming and when it was coming, and that predictability created a shared sense of anticipation. Even smaller budget films had a shot at becoming massive, and the reason they had a shot was because people actually went to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2002 when 1.5 billion tickets were sold. But even if you didn't go to the theater, we had these really cool things called DVDs.
The way he said it though. These really cool things called DVDs. I remember we had, bro, back, okay, I just want to, because like, if someone's watching us that maybe is younger, I was just kind of like, paint the picture here. Like, when I was growing up, we had a big black book, brother, and they had a bunch of CDs in it, just pages and pages, like sleeves with CDs in them, brother. And you just open that shit up and figure out what movie you wanted to watch. We probably had a bunch of CDs too, or like a DVD in the cases too, a little bit. I even have some DVDs in my fucking bedroom, bro. If power ever goes out, shit, I gotta watch a movie or two. You know, I can do it. You know,
missed and watch it at home. And if you didn't want to commit to buying it, no worries. You could rent the film for a few bucks by going to this magical place called Blockbuster.
Yeah.
This is a store where you could essentially browse.
Blockbuster, brother. It was cool because I went in this place like I when I was really young, but like they went away like really. I don't think I really experienced that much of the Blockbuster. I don't know what time they went away, but when I lived in Indiana, there's a movie renting place, and they had games too and shit. But like just like a Blockbuster type shit, but it wasn't called Blockbuster. It was like just a random when I lived there, but they closed like a couple years after I lived there. But it was like
the movies
cool
that
to
you
see
didn't
it
get
there.
the chance to see. You would actually talk to the employee who worked there, and they would give you a recommendation.
That'd be a W job, bro. Blockbuster. If I like was like I'm W in the movie, that'd be W. Be like, yo, this is a good movie. This is a good movie. But I'm always watching movies. That'd be fine. But you know, we ain't living that time no more.
But everyone else is renting. Sometimes a movie was in such high demand that all of their copies would be rented and you couldn't get it. Imagine that. Imagine any form of entertainment being unavailable for you today. Scared?
That's true because you go play your game, you're gonna be able to buy it on the store no matter what. I mean, yeah, in the store they might be out of stock, but you can go online and download the game. You can go online and get the game like it's just
created demand, and it made the film more exciting. It made you want to watch it more. Most of those crappy yet special early 2000s comedies were the perfect films to pick up at a Blockbuster, and people loved that place.
Yeah.
The company earned $5 billion in revenue in 2004. The point is that you and everyone around you had this physical connection with the entertainment and was actively using their brain to choose what they wanted to consume. TV still had a somewhat similar rhythm in the 2000s. Primetime was still valuable airtime. MTV was in its best era, in my opinion, having a plethora of terrible yet oddly captivating reality TV shows and experimental series while still having their sister network, MTV2, play music videos 24/7. It was one of the most versatile eras for mainstream music, with lyrical rap, crunk rap, rock, emo rock, country, pop, EDM, R&B, and countless other genres in a healthy rotation on MTV and the radio. It was just on the cusp of being overwhelming, but having it all contained on MTV and VH1 made it still manageable to keep up with. Kids were absolutely consumed by Nickelodeon,
Come on
Disney
now.
Channel, and Cartoon Network, which were three separate networks that each had 2 to 3 shows worth paying attention to in their respective eras. We still had a healthy separation between our personal lives and our school and work life from 9 to 5, only entertaining ourselves lightly in the morning and in the evenings. We didn't have a phone to distract us from literally every millisecond millisecond of boredom. The entertainment options still felt limited enough that you could feel like everyone around you was on the same wavelength. Plus, we were still at the mercy of knowing the schedule
SpongeBob,
of
come
when
on
new
now.
shows were going
Yeah,
to air.
that's
That
when I was
started to
growing up.
die when cable companies
this is
provided
when I
DVR
started.
capabilities. You could now record your favorite
Oh, yeah, I
shows and
remember that.
movies and watch them later whenever you wanted. This was the beginning of the streaming service era.
But if you record over, it'd be bad. Or if it already, if you were like midway into the movie, you can record it. It won't record the beginning, obviously, because you missed that part. It would only record like to the end. You know,
a takeover that so many people today loathe. Today, you may feel like you are not as connected to the culture because 1, less people are going to the theaters, and 2, the DVD and TV business has been demolished by streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. Being able to stream anything, anywhere, anytime, all while being alone in your room means there's no anticipation, no excitement, nobody to share the experience with, and therefore, no real reason to watch, which is why you simply scroll and scroll through endless choices, waiting for something to magically grab your attention, waiting for something to give you a reason to watch, but it just never happens. On a lighter note, every now and again, we do have a monoculture moment. I think back to the Barbie movie where girls were excited to dress in all pink and drag their boyfriends to the theaters, only for the guys to immediately after drag their girls to see Oppenheimer, where I'm assuming many of them fell asleep. I think back to Squid Games, where everyone and their mother was blindsided by this dystopian critique of capitalism disguised as a up game show. As far as films go, it feels like it's only every couple of years where there is a moment that we are all in sync, when it used to be literally all year, every year. I can't even remember the last time music had a monoculture moment. I mean, sure, radio is still kind of relevant. TikTok made popular songs more popular, but there's so much music all over the place, all the time, that I don't even know what anybody's listening to anymore. For TV, Yellowstone, Severance, White Lotus, Love Island. I mean,
I never watched any of those shows. I watched none of those.
Can we say everyone is watching those shows?
I'm not watching any of those shows.
Define this era? No. I bet there are a ton of you watching that are like, I didn't watch a single one of those
shows. Exactly.
The irony of it all is that the death of a unified culture everyone seems to be feeling came with our pursuit to be more connected than ever before. Because the adaptation of the internet and social media into our everyday lives was the nail in the coffin for monoculture. By the turn of the century, everyone with extra cash had a computer somewhere in the house. Our parents were using them to basically replace what the newspaper did for decades.
Oh yeah,
as the desktops and internet connection got faster, we looked at forums, chatted through AOL Instant Messenger, played simple flash games on Newgrounds, and even bid on random antiques from eBay. Being connected to random people all over the world was beautiful. You were no longer limited to the thoughts, beliefs, and interests of those in your geographical location. The internet was still somewhat difficult to navigate. You know, there was a time when Google didn't have all the answers. You had to check other search engines like Yahoo and my favorite, Ask Jeeves, to find what you were looking for.
I do see.
Videos
Remember
would
that
take forever to load.
Like
the quality was often terrible, and sometimes just straight up didn't work. Using the internet kind of felt like exploring uncharted land. That friction, scarcity, and lack of instant gratification was what made it special. It was worth working for. Today, we just expect things to work.
Yeah.
Convenience.
Yeah, I guess so, because you know how annoyed I get if something's not loading fast enough, or like something's not working right. You know what I'm saying? I get so mad, so yeah. Definitely
to give up our human autonomy for it. Initially, the entertainment industry as a whole saw the internet as a threat because of piracy. Suddenly, millions of people could download movies, music, and TV shows for free through networks like Napster, LimeWire, and torrent sites, completely bypassing traditional revenue models. Studios, labels, and networks feared the collapse of their business structures, as physical sales and TV deals were at the risk of being replaced.
VHS was gone,
the internet stripped them of control, and for the first time, the consumer had the power to access content without paying a cent. From the consumer's perspective, the logic was simple. Why pay for something when you can get it for free instantly? Piracy wasn't just about being cheap, it was about convenience. Buying a CD or DVD meant going to a store, spending 10 to 20 bucks, and hoping you'd like the full album or movie. Then again, people didn't realize the nuanced value of the additional human experiences they got while consuming entertainment. All that driving to the store, talking to people, limited inventory, sitting on a sticky theater seat, that was all just considered to be an inconvenient cost to getting what you wanted. But you couldn't argue against the value that the internet brought to individuals. It gave everyone a voice, a platform, and endless options tailored exactly to their preferences. And that ramped up significantly in 2003 when MySpace became the first widely accepted platform for social media. By 2005, the platform had around 300 million users and had an estimated valuation of over $10 billion. The platform allowed people to share their personal passions and stories as individuals. If nobody in your real life aligned with your interests, you would be able to find a community of like-minded people online. People started calling random strangers on the internet their friends. They became invested in their lives, wanting to know what they were doing in their geographical location. Your connection to random people around the world started to make you disconnected from those physically around you. Slowly, the digital world began to feel more important than the physical one. As platforms evolved, first with Facebook, then Instagram, and eventually TikTok, the focus shifted even further away from a shared experience and towards personal branding. Algorithms were designed not to connect people as a whole, but to keep you personally engaged, feeding you content you already agreed with or found entertaining. The internet became less of a town square and more of an echo chamber, reflecting only your own tastes, beliefs, and biases back at you, just so you wouldn't click off the app. Social media stopped being about community and became a stage where everyone was the main character of their own story. It made individuals feel more powerful than ever, which could be considered a good thing, but it also created a cultural landscape more narcissistic, divisive, and isolated than any era in history. So the reason why movies, TV, YouTube, social media, and literally all other forms of entertainment don't feel the same is a combination of really complicated nuances. However, with a shift in mentality, you could look at all of this as a good thing. If you are a strong-minded individual, introverted, or just someone who doesn't really care about a sense of community and those around you, you are in the golden ages. For decades, if you didn't fit into the narrow lens of what the mainstream deemed valuable, if you didn't like the biggest pop star, or wear the right clothes, or relate to the 5 TV shows everyone else watched, you were invisible. You had nowhere to go. You were the weird kid, the quiet one, the one who didn't belong. But now, the internet gives you infinite options to find belonging, and literally any interest
that is,
you
I
may
guess,
have,
I would
no
say
matter
a good thing on that part, but yeah, that would be a good side of that.
how unique it is, chances are there is a niche community where someone like you isn't just accepted, you're celebrated. Do you like wolves eating watermelons? So do 61,000 other people. Do you like stapling bread to trees? So do 335,000 other people. Today, a girl who was once mocked in school for drawing anime characters in her notebook can become a full-time artist with a fan base of thousands or millions. A kid who was laughed at for making weird songs on his cracked BandLab app can go viral on TikTok and then chart on the Spotify Viral 50. A filmmaker with no connections and no budget can put their short film on YouTube and have it resonate with millions of people around the world. These stories were impossible in the monoculture era because the gatekeepers decided what was and what wasn't. Before the internet, independence was next to impossible, and today the gatekeepers have less power than ever. So maybe entertainment feels more chaotic, more overwhelming, and less special. Maybe we are no longer all connected under a simple, easy to navigate monoculture, but there is more opportunity than ever for a small independent creator to get a taste of that success. And for consumers, if you know what your interests are and do not let algorithms decide what you want to watch, and are willing to do the tedious task to actively get outside of the echo chamber that these algorithms are trying to hold you in, and find that one quality YouTuber or that one underrated Hulu series, then you are probably completely fine with today's entertainment climate. Build your own world. Who cares about community? This is your life. Now, I personally go back and
it's my life. It's my world. You're just living in it. That how it goes?
forth on my feelings towards the death of monoculture. I don't personally feel drowned out in content. Since I have terrible movie and TV taste, I will watch just about anything as long as there is a decent premise for the plot. As far as music goes, I am totally willing to put in the grind to find my new favorite artist, and I'm actually one of those annoying people who kind of starts to dislike someone when they get more famous. So I actively look for underrated talent, and Spotify and social media makes that a million times easier and more convenient. But at the same time, time, I do miss that sense of monoculture. I play a lot of golf, and when I meet new
Golf.
people, I've had countless
I want to play
conversations
golf.
that lead nowhere because we have absolutely nothing in common due to being stuck in totally different algorithmic echo chambers. Sometimes the golfers don't even watch golf, so I'm just like, how's the weather? And obviously, I'm a
How's the
creator, so
weather?
I'm benefiting from a system that was created for me to succeed. And because of my feelings going back and forth, my channel is somewhat a reflection of the lack of
What happened?
and yearning.
I thought you asked how the weather was.
No, it's from the guy. That's fucking funny, dude. I'm watching a. Don't be sorry. I'm watching a video, and the guy said he plays golf, and some of the people that play golf don't watch golf. And he said, so how's the weather? And so I laughed and said, how's the weather? But I didn't. It's just funny that happened. Sorry. It's very nice out. The weather is very nice. All right, let's make
Yearning for an entertainment monoculture. My YouTube channel is kind of like a 2000s MTV inspired hodgepodge of modern pop culture. Firstly, I'm reliable, posting every Monday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And every week we talk about something pop culture related. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's internet personalities, sometimes it's a comedian, action sports star, politics. The modern
We get
YouTube
it, bud.
algorithm wants you to keep making the same video over and over with the same thumbnails and dominate one specific niche, which is why you see so many successful channels being repetitive, because that is literally what works. I try to keep a balance. And because of that, some videos get more views than others, some videos bomb, but I hope you enjoy me keeping that old early 2000s variety. You can come to my channel to keep you updated with modern pop culture and feel some tiny slice of that monoculture we all used to love. Also, this was kind of a different style of video for my channel. I usually stick to documentaries that are objective and fact-based, but recently I've just kind of been wanting to switch it up a little bit. So I'll be looking at the comments to see.
All right, bro. W video. He was yapping for a bit there.